G'day ladies and gents, welcome to War Thunder with Mags, and welcome to patch 1.45711 test server. Yes, I finally got onto one of the test servers. Now, I'm going to be doing this live, so I may ramble just a little bit. I apologise for that in advance. Now, there's only been a few new additions in terms of aircraft to the test server, so let's go and take a look at them. First one is the F2H2 Banshee. This currently has a battle rating of 6.7. I really hope this is only a preliminary battle rating. When you look at the stats for this plane, F2H2, it's got 420mm AN-M3 cannons. Now, these are pretty much the same guns that are being carried by the Panther, which is, okay, 420mm, fair enough. 935 kilometers an hour stock, 901 kilometers an hour, and the F9 F2 has upgrades. Furthermore, you go through to climb rate, 5,906 feet a minute climb rate. F9 F2 with some upgrades, 5,497. The climb rate and speed stats on this aircraft are higher than the F9 F2 at 6.7 battle rating. You go down to the Panther itself, that's 8.3 battle rating. Same armament. Slightly less ammunition on the Banshee, however. Okay, so let's go and have a look at this plane, and first thing you'll note is the size. This thing is quite a bit larger than the Panther, twin-engined. It is actually kind of a really nice looking plane. It's a bit longer in the body, a bit bigger in the tail. If we go through, new ability down here, show armor. So we can actually go through and start looking through the abilities or the setup and layout of this aircraft, much like you can with tanks. So armor-wise, we've got an armor plate at the back of the cockpit, armoured panelling in the front, 8.5mm. This isn't really going to stop a whole lot. And you've got a little bit of armour covering the ammo boxes in the front of the plane. Go through to X-ray. Wing spars. The wings on this thing, these are long spars. This plane with these long rings actually reminds me a lot of the Venom. I'm worried one of the things with this aircraft, maybe it has some very soft wings, very easy to break. Besides that, you've got fuel tanks just sitting in the inner wings next to the engines, so direct hit to the engines are likely going to set the surrounding area on fire, and the entire centre fuselage of the plane is basically a giant fuel tank. Killing these things will be to load incendiary ammunition and shoot for the centre, and you'll just light them on fire. So that pretty much covers the layout and setup for this aircraft. It is a nice looking plane. I'm still not sure about that battle rating, however. Now go through, the next one we've got, the Arado has received some adjustments apparently. So the Arado 234B2, whatever changes they've made to this aircraft, it's nothing that's shown up that I can really see. All its stats look pretty much the same as what it was before. It's had no armour added, it's still basically a fuel tank and engines with bombs attached. So nothing really notable there. Next one on the list with the Ussr I-16 Type 10. This thing is, well, it's another I-16. I believe the difference is it's got 80 less horsepower than the 18. Overall stats, we're looking at 448, I-16, 461. So yeah, it's just another friggin' I-16. They're bloody everywhere. I'm not sure why Gaijin keeps adding these things at the moment. Like, they're fun little aircraft, don't get me wrong, but we got 4 I-16s there. Then we've got the premium over here, so we're up to 5 at the moment in game. Why do we need them all? Unless they're being added specifically for special events in the future, I can't see a purpose to adding any more I-16s to the game. Next up, Britain. Now here's another controversial one. The new Canberra. 7.3 battle rating. That's not too bad. It'll still see props, but only the top end ones. Only 6.3 or above propeller driven aircraft it will currently see with that matchmaking. The big thing with this one here, 4 20mm Hispano cannons with 2,000 rounds of ammunition. Stats comparable to the Canberra one. Well, my Canberra here is stock as well, so we got 815 kilometers an hour, 880 kilometers an hour. Okay, so the cannon one is faster. 26-second turn time, 27.5, so it turns faster. Climb rate, 3,937 feet a minute, over 2,692 feet a minute, so the Canberra is quite a bit faster, and it climbs better, and it's more manoeuvrable with those 20mm cannons. Let's go through the preview. Now, this is interesting with the design. It's basically a Canberra. Where are the guns? Well, the guns are back here, and what looks like they've been crammed into the bomb bay, all the way at the back section of the aircraft. So they've got to fire the whole way up. I'm actually wondering whether or not it's going to be possible to shoot your own nose wheel off if you fire the cannons during takeoff. Armour-wise, it has none. No armour at all on this aircraft anywhere. Go through to internals. Yep, centre line is basically a giant fuel tank. Giant fuel tanks in the wings. Engines exactly where you would expect them to be. An interesting point with the engines. The engine hitboxes are all the way up here. The back section of the wings, there's no engine hitbox in there. There is one very, 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 very small connecting rod that goes out to your rear control surfaces, but that's tiny. Guns sit in this section here. Now, here's what I noticed earlier on that was interesting about the Canberra. This one can still carry bombs. It's got pretty much all the bomb loads that are available to the standard Canberra. Where does it keep them? If it's got the 20mm hanging out of the bomb bay, where do these bombs come from? Where do they sit in the plane? I'm wondering whether or not if you equip these bombs, you'll lose the 20mm cannons, or if you can equip both at once, where do they go? But for the moment, the Canberra, it's actually probably part of the reason why this Canberra performs a little bit higher than the other one, is it's currently not carrying the weight of the bomb load, because you don't get them as default. You're going to have to go shoot down some aircraft or shoot down some ground attack targets in order to be able to unlock the bomb loads to begin with. So that's the Canberra done. Now, the last planes we've got to look at, Japan actually gets to this patch. So let's flick over here and have a look. First things first, KI-43-3 Ussr. 4.3 battle rating, 220mm cannons on a Hayabusa. Okay, so 590 kilometers an hour, 16-second turn time, 4,246 feet a minute climb rate. 4.7 on the Hine here, and it's 591.21, 1,969. So, battle rating, I think it's probably over-tiered, but it's over-tiered in exactly the same way that all the Japanese aircraft are at the moment. They're all probably slightly too high by about 0.3, I think I've said in the past, and I still pretty much agree with that statement. I think this has been tiered accurately against the current tiering of the Japanese aircraft that are in the line, but the whole nation needs to be a bump down. Now, the next one is the J2M3. Now, this one's nice to actually see. A problem that the Japan has had in its Era 4 fighters is excluding the first M1K, well, M1K 6.3, 6.3, J71, 6.0, 6.3, 6.0, KI-84 Co's moved to Era 4. Okay, I only just noticed that. There we go, it's an Era 4 aircraft now, still got 4.3 battle rating. That 4.3 tiering against Hayabusa, that's interesting. Anyways, this is the first battle rating 5 plane that Japan has had in a long time. So what are we looking at here? Well, 650 kilometers an hour in level flight. We're looking at on height of about 17,000 feet, 19-second turn time, so it's fairly manoeuvrable in a turn. 2,526 feet a minute climb rate, that's not bad, and 420mm Type 99 cannons with 800 rounds of ammunition. This is not bad at all. It's an interesting looking aircraft too. When you check it out, well, flick that off for the moment, it sort of reminds me a little bit of the I-185, but it's been fattened up. When you consider that the first R2Y2 looks like a fat 262 as well, or the kicker looks like a fat 262, I'm wondering what the hell is with all these overweight looking Japanese planes. It just doesn't make any sense. Armour wise, panel in the back of the headrest, front plate, that's it. You're not going to see much armour in the way of planes. Fuel tank hitboxes are actually fairly small. Guns mounted wide in the wings, wing spars, fairly small control surface coming, a lot of friggin' engine in the front. That's interesting. It's got a fuel tank directly in front of the pilot as well, so if you strike the engine cowling, this thing is likely going to set itself on fire. Cooling system sits behind the engine. Unless it gets strikes from above or you manage to penetrate the engine block, the cooling system on this plane shouldn't be in too much of a risk, which is nice to see. But yeah, overall, I don't mind the look of this aircraft, and the battle rating is fairly nice. The stats on it are fairly good. If you compare this one against, say, the N1K, we're looking at 595, 630, that's faster. Manoeuvrability, 20 seconds. 19 seconds. It's more manoeuvrable stock, and I think, hang on, which one am I comparing against here? The JA. So I'm comparing against the JA here, so this is, I'm comparing stock versus stock, which is alright. 2,526 feet a minute climb rate, 3,400. It's about 1,000 feet slower in the climb, but it's more manoeuvrable and it's faster in level flight, and it's only battle rating 5 rather than 6.3. So technically this aircraft shouldn't even get into battle with these ones. This one should be fighting down here with the Ki-84 Co's and the Ki-61 highs. So this could be a fun little plane to fly. Its battle rating is actually quite okay. I don't have a problem with battle rating 5 for it. Good ammunition loadouts. Yeah, not bad at all. Okay, so let's take a look at the German tank tree. So we've got two new light tanks, or two new Era 1 tanks. We've got the Panzer IIIJ. Again, 50mm armed Panzer III. It'll be a good tank. At 21 tons, it's slightly heavier than the F. It's probably got a little bit more armour on it. It's just going to be another Panzer IIIJ, or Panzer III series. It'll be a nice tank. Nothing really to look at here. We got a Panzer IV-E 75mm KWK-37. Now this is basically going to be a slightly heavier, more armoured version of the Panzer C. Again, an alright tank. I'm not a particularly big fan of the 75mm guns, but that's a preference thing. It's not that the guns are bad, I just like something with a little bit more accuracy over range, so I like long barrels. Short barrels don't do it for me. Premiums, well, we have two. First is this little one here, the VK4501, which is the Porsche Tiger in standard format. 5.7 battle rating, Era 3 tank. 60 tons, what have we got? 88 KWK-36, so I think KWK-36, yeah, same gun as the Tiger, which is what it should have. Have a look through on the preview, and yeah, it's basically a Tiger with the turret in the front. Armour wise, well, we've got 82mm on the side, which is not bad. Front armour 102, 62. Yeah, not a bad looking machine. At 5.7 battle rating, when I can drive the Tiger inline, which I already have spaded, I'm not so sure how much worth this tank is going to be, although it's definitely better than that at battle rating 5. At least it's got a decent gun. Mobility is actually probably an important part of it, 37 kilometers an hour, Tiger 45. Yeah, I don't know about this. I can't see exactly what the price tag, it looks like it comes in a bundle only, but I would say it would probably be better to put a talisman on a Tiger, but that's just me. Maybe you're interested in it, not one that I'm particularly interested in. Then we have the other variant of it, the Command Tiger down here. Now this thing's interesting, they whacked some more armour on the front of it. The front hull armour is only 102 thick, but it's meant to have spaced armour on the front. Now, that is 6,000 gold to buy, 6.7 battle rating, so that thing is rated alongside the Tiger 2. Let's have a look at this one. Okay, so 102 thick. And it looks like there is a second layer, so you got 102 base and then you got an additional 102 from the front. So looking at effective thickness 103 directly on, but if that's 2 layers of armour, yeah, this thing could be a tough nut to crack from the front. From the front of the turret is only 90, mantlet armour behind, 104. Yeah, it doesn't look like the turret is armoured any more heavily. The front of the hull definitely looks like it has 2 layers in there. So yeah, basically if you see one in combat, don't shoot it there, shoot it there. Internal components, yeah, standard Tiger setup, ammo racks mounted on the sides, easily penetratable from the side, 2 in the low floor, and radiators are in the sides. Fuel tanks are mounted in the centre on this thing. The radiators might provide some cover from the fuel tanks, preventing you from getting set on fire quite as commonly as you normally would, although shots coming in from this angle are likely going to take out the ammo racks first, in which case it doesn't really matter. Still, not a bad looking tank. Yeah, I suppose if you've got a spare 6,000 gold lying around and you want to get an Era 4, it's not a bad option. Still has the same 88mm that you get on the Tiger 1 down here at 5.7, however, so I'm not sure how good the gun is going to be. Although, Pack 43, or 34, you're looking at the same gun on the Jag Panther anyway, so yeah. Okay, so that is the end of the German line, so let's go and take a quick look at the USSR tanks before we get to the ones that everybody's really wanting to look at here. So, USSR, we have the BT5, the SMK, and the M4A2. M4A2 Premium, SMK is a Premium. What have we got here? It's Era 2, 1300 gold to buy, 3.7 battle rating, 45mm 20 cannon, and 76mm. This is one of the multi-turrets, 12.7, a 76 and a 45. Okay, an M4A2, so the Russians now have a premium Sherman to go with the Germans having a premium Sherman and the Americans having Shermans, so everybody has Shermans. Now we've got the BT5. Where have they hidden that thing on me? As I said, I'm doing this pretty much live at the moment, so I'm not entirely sure where they've actually put all the tanks. BT5, new reserve tank, there we go. What have we got here? 11.6 ton tank, we're looking at 54 kilometers an hour, 45mm 20k cannon, 86 shots. How does that range against a BT7? 20k, so it's got the same gun as the BT7. 54, same speed. Okay, we'll have a look at this thing. And it's BT7. 13mm an angled, effective 22, 63mm, effective depending on angle, but you're looking at only 16mm thick. Mantlet 20mm, 15. Yeah, it's a BT7. It's a reserve BT7. I guess there isn't much to see there at all. Okay, well that's the end of the Russians. Nothing much to look at there. If I want to look at a Sherman, I'll go look at one over here. So far, this is all that is on this test server to take a look at. We've got the M2A4 reserve tank, a reserve light tank rather, 11.5 tons, 57 kilometers an hour, 37mm M5 cannon with 103 rounds, as well as 7.62mm machine guns, 2 of them. 3,000 and 5,000 rounds of ammunition. We've got the M2, medium tank M2, 19 tons, 37mm M3 cannons. It carries the same gun as the reserve, no machine guns. 19 tons, 54 kilometers an hour, 57 kilometers an hour, a little bit slower. M3, the Stuart. I love this little thing. I loved it on World of Tanks. 12.6 tons, 37mm M5. So same gun again, all M5s. 2 machine guns as well, 2 7.62s on it, and the M3 medium at 27 tons, 37mm M5, 75mm M2. Okay. M3 Lee. Both usable, and machine guns available for both as well. So we'll just have a quick look over these tanks. So, flick it back over. Turn the x-rays off. I've got to remember to reset that before each one. Okay, so light tank M2A4. This, yeah, baby Stuart. Machine gun, fair enough. Armour thicknesses. We got 25mm for the main. Front plate, 15.8. Mantlet, 25mm. 25 all over the turret from the looks. Top plate, 6.3. Yeah, that's about right. X-ray internals. Well, we got ammo racks on the side. Crew sit tightly together. Penetration spots on the front, obviously, at the driver's slots, so you'd be aiming. Large, oh, they did model it as a radial. Very nice. Radials with radiators on either side to the rear, and the fuel tank is directly down on the floor. So the fuel tank's actually going to be quite hard to hit on this thing because it's all the way down there, although these ammo racks on the side, right up here where you'll be putting shots through, not comforting. So we'll drop out of this one. Let's have a look at the M3. If you're going to let me do it at all. There we go. Look at this one. There we go. And yep, it's a Stuart. It's basically identical to your reserve tank with a little bit more armour. 15 on the front, 38mm here, 25 all over there, 44, that's interesting, 15 with an effective thickness of 32, but the lower plate is 44 with an effective of 50. Don't shoot it in the lower plate. Just don't shoot it in the lower plate. Bad idea. Yeah, side armor, 25mm overall, which is, yeah, it's actually probably not too bad for such a low-end, low-level tank. Ammo racks move further back, fuel tank's still in the bottom, crew layout is pretty much the same, radiators over the sides of a radial. Interesting, the ammo racks have moved further back on this one. Side shots into the engine, you're likely going to hit either the ammo racks, the radiators, or the engine as well, if not all three, so you do not want to take hits from this sort of a direction in this tank. It'll take it out in a real hurry. So that's that one. M2, I'm not expecting a huge amount here. Oh, and that has got to be the ugliest thing I have ever seen. Jesus Christ. They actually built this thing? Okay, 2 forward firing machine guns, cannon, 2 mounted off the back of the turret. Let's have a look at its armor, see if it's worth a damn. 28 on the lower plate, effective 33, 33.6, 37.2 from the front, but it's only 28 thick. 25, this thing's fairly soft regardless of where you aim at it from the looks. 25 overall, the machine guns are only just 19.5, so they'll be easy to pen spots. Shoot the machine guns if you want to penetrate there. Side armor, what have we got? It's looking at 25 all over from the looks. 25 at the rear too. Top plate, only 9.5mm thick. Planes are going to love strafing these things out. Even 7.62 AP rounds should penetrate this thing from above, so reserve biplanes will be able to kill this thing. Let's have a look at the internals. Jeez, how many crew did they jam into this bloody thing? Alright, front wheel drivetrain. So, penetrate the weak armour on the front, you'll break the drivetrain. The crew is basically sitting on ammo racks. All of the ammo racks. Fuel tanks on the outside, radiators into engine. So shots at the back, you are likely going to be able to penetrate quite easily and be able to hit anything through this section of the tank. Actually the ammo rack probably isn't positioned too bad. Not too many people are going to shoot that low because the tracks are going to eat a huge chunk of the shots. They'll aim higher, you'll lose crew members instead of being ammo racked, so okay, fair enough. And I forgot to disable that. And the one, go away. Sorry about that, folks. Alright. The M3. We'll flick this one off, and yeah, it's a Lee. God, these things are ugly too. They didn't really improve them much, did they? But I suppose it's got a 75mm gun, so I can't complain too much about that. So, armour thickness on this thing. 50mm, effectiveness is pretty much 50mm. As you get to the top of the plate, it starts getting up to your 70. Yeah, if you want to shoot and pen straight from the front on the flat, you only get the thickness of the armour itself, so you're looking at about, yeah, slightly more. You're looking at about 50mm across here. Is that showing a second layer of armour under there? I can't see. No, possibly not. Front plate, 38mm thick. Effective thickness is about 60 from the front. 59.50. Effective thickness 78 all over and 50. Mantlet is 50. You're looking at 40mm here. It'd actually be easier to penetrate around this section of the gun if you can get it angled straight on. What's it from straight on here? It's only 38. Yeah, only 38.1. If it tries to angle its armour, shoot the sides. You'll punch straight through here. Or 44 to that. Shoot the side with the gun. Mantlet on this thing's 47mm, or 38 with an effectiveness of 42 to 47. 40 over 38. Side armour only 38. 38 through, yeah, 38 pretty much all over again. Well, thickness from above, that's a little bit better, 12mm, although 50 cal rounds with AP will still penetrate that without too much of a problem. Let's have a look at the internal layout. Once again, far too many crew members for a tank this size. Fuel tanks right next to the engine. Interesting, the engine clips over into the fuel tanks hitboxes. Ammo racks for MG, that'll be, yeah, shell racks The driver, or the gunner, looks like he sits on a stack of them. Loader sits next to a stack, so that makes sense there. And then the entire top of the tank is basically wrapped in 7.62mm ammunition, so okay. Ammo stores off the side, right next to the gunner. Again, front drive track, although this thing is more heavily armoured in the front, so hitting this plate, punching through this plate here to hit the transmission is going to be substantially more difficult than it was on the previous tank, so that doesn't actually look too bad. Unfortunately, that's all there is to really look at with US tanks. That's all they've got in at this time. It's sort of a bit of a shame. I would have really liked to have seen the M103's armour layout. Oh, that's the inside of the P80. I've never actually looked yet. Or the F80C, rather. Okay, that's all I've got time for this video, ladies and gents. Tune in next video. We're going to take out a couple of the new aircraft for a spin. Until next time, click like if you do, subscribe if you want to see more. Fly smart, fly safe, and I'll catch you in the skies.